speaking of still being alive, this is actually a question that I know a lot of us have, especially starting. But in recent years, there's been a lot of discussion about the physical toll of wrestling. How have you managed your health, and what are your thoughts on the industry's approach to wrestler wellness now versus during your active years?
Did you see me walk? What do you think my health is?
I mean, I don't know. Your doctor said you have the heart of a 30-year-old.
Well, yeah, that's amazing. I don't know how my
So
blood.
I'm like-
I don't know how my blood work is good. This and this and that. But my actual vehicle is my suspension is all jacked up. My knees and I broke my neck twice. Well, I broke once playing football, once wrestling. Torn pec, shoulders. I have no ACL, PCL. It's just bone up bone. So I'm bow-legged I got the Jimmy leg. We used to mess with Matt Hardy. Say he had a Jimmy leg because his leg was naturally bowed. Now I got the Jimmy leg. I think that was karma. So that's karma, it was hard on you. Older school guys, we were more like, and I'm not so much like that anymore when it comes to the students, but like when I started and eras before me and all that, they were like, your leg could be hanging off, and they'd be like, throw some dirt on that, man up, dog. Get out there. You working tonight or not? Get out there. You kind of you didn't tell anybody when you're hurt because you didn't want to lose your spot. I tore my pec, and it was when D'Lo Brown and Mark Henry in Canada did a pay-per-view. D'Lo went to clothesline me over the top rope, but Mark had pulled the rope down, right? So my arm was in the rope, so when he pulled the rope down, my arm stayed trapped. He had the rope held the whole time, so when D'Lo hit me, he still had the rope. So my arm was pinched, so my body came around and my arm was in here. So my shoulder dislocated, but and I went to the mat. I finished the mat. I finished the angle at the end. I had to give him DDT, spray some blood, all that stuff, and I'm like, my chest, and he goes, oh, it's your shoulder, it's out. So he popped my shoulder back in. This Francois guy. He's like a shih-tzu guy or some shit. So he popped it back in. I remember Mark going, oh. Mark was a little disturbed by the sound of it. But it popped in, and I go, no, that's not it. The shoulder wasn't even. I go, it's my pec. It's really, it feels like there's a roll, or it hurts in here, like something weird in here. And he goes, you'll be all right, baby. He was a French dude, You'll be all right. It's just swollen from the shoulder. You're going to be good. So time we get to Detroit, I get to the hotel room. I can't lift my arm, and I take my shirt off, and I'm just blacked out of there because I tore my pec too. So I show up at a venue in Detroit, Joe Louis Arena. I show up, and there was a doctor there, and I go, oh, hey doc, you see? He goes, oh man, and he wrote me a prescription for Vicodin, right? And I was like, what's this? I've never taken Vicodin. This is like 98 or 99. I never taken Vicodin. I'm like, what's this? He goes, oh, take that and go to the hospital. Get that, and then get to a hospital. I'm like, okay. I took that. I was like, what is that? I never went to a hospital. I never went to a doctor. Wasn't going to tell anybody. I just started the whole Gangrel, whole run thing. If I would have told them there and went home, I would have been off TV and done, right? In my head. And that's probably what would have happened back then. So I didn't say anything. I worked with a torn pec. I had the white shirt on. You couldn't see it. I just started working left-handed. And I figured my way around it. And eventually it healed in its own way. And I just kept carrying on. Those days are gone, though. I remember him coming to me. Hunter, Triple H, actually. He was taking more of a role back then. Kind of you can see he was moving more up the ladder of Vince or whatever. Moving that direction. And he goes, company's not like it used to be. And it was Shane, too. It was Shane, actually. It was actually Shane, I think. It was one of them. Maybe it was Shane. He said, it's not like the old days. We know you had a torn pec. We know you had this. You got to let us know when you're hurt. I'm like, And they go, no, you got to tell us, you're not going to lose your spot or anything. I'm like, So then the next injury I got, unfortunately, was a broken neck. And then I went for a week. I wrestled 3 house shows with a broken neck. Eddie Guerrero, I call it Eddie because I was riding with Jericho for whatever reason because they split the crews up. Usually I rode with Jericho and Benoit. But I was riding with Eddie and Benoit, Guerrero and Benoit. But I was riding with Jericho, and I was getting my room, my nose was bleeding, I couldn't swallow anymore. And I remember calling Eddie, going, oh man, I can't, my nose, I can't swallow and bleeding. He goes, what are you taking? I go, I can't take anything. I can't even swallow. He's like, Neil, just sleep sitting up, you know, like so you don't drown, you know, like that's what he said, so you don't drown. That's how old school with it, you know, sleep sitting up so you don't drown. I woke up just bloody shirt, like, you know, he goes, just make it a TV, sleep sitting up, make it a TV. And I walked in the TV and they're immediately going, you got to go to a emergency right now. I think your neck's broke. They said that without even. They just looked because I was swollen everywhere. Mm-hmm. I said, okay. And I left. I went and got a flight. I flew back home to Florida and then went. And they go, yeah, your neck's broken. When I got there. So, and I lost my spot and got let go too. Once I was healed 8 months and 9 months later, whatever it was, they let me go. Like, so like, I was like, yeah, right. They won't let you go. You know? So, but now it's different now. You know, if you have a sniffle, you got to go to medical and be cleared for the COVID, or if there's a spraying or whatever, anything, you got to be cleared. It's like the NFL or anything else now, maybe even more so. It's very rigorous, but it's better because you won't have guys walking around with the bow leg like I have. Like these old timers, they just pushed through everything and tore their bodies up, and then they either got addicted to alcohol and drugs or had to cope, or they're so physically beat up they can't even transition in life. You know, they didn't make the money changed over the period of time. So like when I was wrestling, I'm sure the guys from the 80s and the 70s were going, oh, these kids are making all this money and blah 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 blah. You know, you're like, yeah. But my generation, the guys that are all beat up, they didn't take care of the self-treatment. They're looking at now where they got tour buses and their own jets and stuff, and they're going, these guys, what is crazy? Things it's evolved, just like baseball. If you look at like Yogi Berra when he first signed for the Yankees for like $500 or something, you know what I mean? Yogi Berra, like this guy who was a Yankee, you know, or football, and the same thing, but how it's evolved now, it's like 5 million or 500 million, you know, pitchers and ridiculous things. So it goes on like that, but with all that and all that money being invested and all this money out, they treat you though it's like, you know, your body's worth. So you're good. So you learn how you make money. Your body's healthy. You can transition in life. You're gonna have less deaths, less suicides. You know, less tragedies on the back end of stuff. But you know, and if you do have tragedies, it's just something unavoidable. You know, it's just. Everybody has certain depressions, you know, different things. That's a real thing and uncontrollable. But you're set up better to succeed after you move on and transition out of the sport. So I think it's great now. It's good. Maybe I look at them as a bunch of, yeah, suck it up. But it's not their choice anymore. Yeah. Like some of them, if you report it and they see it, and I mean, I don't know in AEW how it goes, but WWE, like, they got, like, if you go to the PC, it's like medical's like right in the building. You're like, I'm like, really? They're like pulling on me and twisting. I go, I'm just guest coaching. Like, you know, what am I doing? You know, they're like bending my joints, making me hop on my knee with no ACL and PCL. How can you do that? I don't know. Because you attitude era guys, you guys are strange. Like, they would say, they literally say that because when they dealt with them, we were just different. Yeah, we knew how to fake it till you make it. You know, get through shit. You know, we could hop on something that felt like it was probably gonna rip off, but we could hop it. You say 10 times, you know, mine. Yeah. We got this 10 times, and we would do it and smile, but inside dying. You know, it's just different. But I think it's better now. Maybe sometimes it's over the top, but is it really? If they got all that money invested and they're paying you that kind of money, there's that money kind of made. You know, it's just they're just looking out for their stock, their investments and stuff. But ultimately, I think it's better for the wrestlers whether they like it or not because they're going to be able to transition. Yeah. They're like me, for example. People go, when are you going to stop wrestling? I'll be 55 in February. When are you going to stop wrestling? You know, I have the leg. You see the leg. And I go, I don't know. Could I work a regular job where I could stand there for 8 hours just because of my knee? I don't think so. Well, what I do, I wrestle since I'm 17, you know. I made some money, but I didn't make this crazy money. I didn't invest in anything. I wasn't smart at the time, honey. I was still, I had an 80s mentality of like rock and roll party. What do you do? It's a scary moment for me, but I'm like the last of that generation, the last of those guys, last of the Mohicans that are like that, but I'm finding my way. I'm teaching wrestling, you know, and I'm still wrestling, but what do I do? There's not a day that I don't go by and I sit back going, what do I do if I don't wrestle? Like, I've been wrestling since 17. Our body's beat up. Could I be a 7-Eleven clerk? You know, like Judge Reinhold in Fast Times at Ridgemont. You know, like could I work at an Amazon Prime? Could I sort pack? I couldn't stand that long. I can't stand more than 15 minutes before my knee and all that just throbbing. I don't know how I wrestle 20-minute matches. It's just your mindset, your music plays, you go, you do it, you're done. But what do you do? Like, so and I don't regret it. That I was totally aware of what I was getting into. There was no smoke and mirrors about what I was getting into. Boris Malenko and Rusty, they said, you're orange. This business will squeeze you up. They're going to squeeze, pulp, everything, get out. And when they can't get anything out of you, they're going to throw you away. And then they go, if you don't understand that, just think about you're a prostitute. You're pretty, you smell good, you look good. As you get older and you get older, ain't nobody going to buy you no more. So what are you going to do? It's just a shelf life. And so I think it's very good now. I think it's very good. Whether they like it or not, maybe they're mad if they go, oh, it's just a spraying. I could wrap it up and shoot Nubane in there or something. But they're just trying to look out for them and protect them. It really is. It's good. As much as you want to go, come on, but like a hangnail, But in a sense, they're protecting their investments. There's so much money involved, and it's for really ultimately it's for like the concussion things, especially the concussions. It's really for the talent's own good. So it's a good thing. The current stuff now, I believe. It was a long-winded answer.
No, it's okay. It's really good.
Yeah.